What's up, everyone? It's Gore here, and I wanted to talk about a couple things with you. I want to talk about my thoughts on No Man's Sky, my thoughts on Titanfall 2, and the coming future of Gore, at least for the next few months. Now, I'm going to start with the future of Gore because I think this is probably the most important thing for you guys, at least the ones who really follow me and stuff. And if you're new, awesome, hit that subscribe button, and I'll go over what I'm going to be doing for at least the next few months. Now, some of you may know I live in a tiny-ass town in western New York, not near too much of anything great, and I live right on the other side of the highway opposed to the town, and I cannot get legitimate cable internet here. So what I've been doing to upload all my videos and play online and everything is using my phone. Now, I've been with Verizon for years and years, and I had unlimited data way back when. And I found a loophole to stay unlimited data forever, and that was never getting an upgrade through them. If you get an upgrade through them, it changes your plan onto their new terms. However, if you didn't do that, you could stay on unlimited. Well, this month they changed that, and now everyone who was grandfathered in with unlimited data is now fucked, pretty much. Let me give you an example of why this is important. So between YouTube downloading stuff, downloading updates on consoles, and playing games online, and everything like that, plus the Benny Bottle stuff, between everything, I used, in 1 month, I used a terabyte of data. Now, that sounds like a lot, and it really is. Actually, that's a crazy amount. For those of you who don't know, that's like 1,024 gigabytes, and it was a little more than a terabyte. And I did the math on that, and I would have, if I wasn't unlimited and I paid that $15 per gig or whatever bullshit it is, it would have been like over $15,000, $16,000. So you can see why this is a concern now that I am screwed. So this ends the 29th. So I lose my Verizon unlimited data at the end of the month, and it's really ridiculous. It's really annoying because now I'm screwed. So I actually ended up switching to T-Mobile because I can get the same 23 or 22 gigs a month with rollover for cheaper. Verizon has a 100 gig plan, but it's $450 a month, so I'm not doing that. And the problem here is a lot of my videos about games where I play games are huge. So like I've uploaded a video before that was 8 gigs. And that's not a big deal when you're unlimited or have a real connection, but when you have 23 or 22 for the month, you gotta think about life a little bit. So I wanted to give you guys the heads up that videos, it's gonna slow down a bit. I'm gonna do a lot more of these one-on-one videos where I talk about stuff, maybe start doing reviews, because videos like this where there's not actual 1080p 60 frames a second, very high quality uncondensed video that I put out there is a lot smaller files. I can usually make a good video like this for only a couple hundred megabytes, and that's not a big deal at all. There's also plans of me possibly moving to Georgia with Sean, which I had done videos on before earlier, like a month or two ago. And so that I'm still working on as well. So this is only temporary for a few months, hopefully. I am now full-time YouTuber and full-time actor. I no longer work a job, and of course this would happen as soon as I go full-time, right? So I no longer have a legit job. I'm just doing YouTube and acting. And since we're on the acting topic, very exciting voice acting role coming up. I can't say what game it's for, but it's a pretty cool indie game coming to PS4 and PC with the potential to reach like millions of people. So if I get that, it'll be awesome, and I will definitely do videos on the game itself and videos on what happens with that. Anyway, moving forward, I want to talk about Titanfall 2 real quick because I feel like that'll be a lot quicker than me talking about No Man's Sky. The reason it'll be a lot quicker is because No Man's Sky, I've actually played the full game and played it a lot longer, whereas Titanfall 2, I've played 2 weekends of beta. Now, Titanfall 2 is pretty cool. I love Titanfall 1. I have all the DLC. I've played it a ton. Like a ton. I've played it a lot. And I love it, unlike a lot of people. A lot of people weren't huge fans of it. And part of me understands why, and I was really hoping they'd fix a lot of that in Titanfall 2. And to me, Titanfall 2 is cool, but it doesn't seem too different. Weekend 1, there seemed to be some issues, and it when I first started, it just didn't feel like Titanfall. I love their new customization and upgrading system, but I hate it at the same time. I was really, really hoping for, and maybe they've got something in the full game, but again, this is going off the beta, so keep that in mind. I was really hoping that they would have some sort of like packs thing where you like could get parts and you could customize the parts to your Titan. So it's like everybody has one Titan, and you like customize it cosmetically with parts, and then you choose the abilities. So maybe like a cool way of doing that would have been like you pick like Scorch or one of the named Titan bodies, and then you can customize the parts. Or you just make a Titan, and the parts you pick are the parts you pick. And that would have been really, really cool. It also would eliminate the need to balance all these preset types of Titans. Just give everyone like an empty Titan and have them fill it out with their own shit. And that, I feel like, would have been a lot more fun. Now, they have expanded the customization a lot. Your weapons level up. Your abilities for your pilot itself is kind of stripped down. Now, they did fix the wall running problem. Weekend 1, when you were running against the wall, you kind of didn't speed up like you did in Titanfall 1. And they fixed that in Weekend 2. It's much better now. But I think I know why they did this, and I think it's because they decided, hey, let's take out fast free running off and make it an ability in the full game. People outraged, and they're like, okay, let's not do that. Let's put it back on the pilot default, and that's that. And they kept it hush-hush that was going to be an ability. Because what they did is, if you remember Titanfall 1, later on when it started getting a lot of updates and they added burn cards, a lot of those burn cards were like amped weapons and abilities and stuff like that, and a lot of those have now become skills. So amped, you now get kind of like a kill streak thing, you know, like think Call of Duty, you do well and you get like an ability. And the first one you get is amped weapons, and it amps up whatever kit you have for X amount of time, which I really like that they're adding these kind of reward system things. Right now there's 2. Unless they've secretly added one I missed. There's amped weapons, and then when you level up enough, you can unlock the ticks. And ticks are really cool. They're basically like tickers in Gears of War, but not as good in my opinion. They're still cool. You throw out 2 of these robot things, and they roam around and blow up when they're near an enemy. However, I haven't found them to be too overpowering, which is great, but I haven't found them to be too useful either. So it's kind of like a 50-50 thing. I prefer them over the amped weapons just because I'm fine with the normal weapon. It's more of a, I'd rather throw these 2 things out, let them do their thing, and then me do my thing, doing whatever I'm doing. So I feel they're more valuable than the amped weapons, but now that I've used the tick so much, I don't know if that's still true or not. I don't know, but both are pretty balanced. It's not like everyone's going to be using the same kill streak thing. So it'll be nice to see what other ones they add. It'll be nice to see the full game. I'm still excited, really excited to see the full game. They're adding that actual story-based single player instead of the multiplayer campaign, which a lot of people took offense to. And I think a lot of people misjudged the multiplayer campaign in Titanfall 1. I think a lot of people went to the multiplayer modes and saw multiplayer campaign and thought, oh, this is their campaign, and then played it and it realized it was just a stack of maps in a specific order. And there actually was a storyline to that if you played it all the way through, and it wasn't great, but it was there. And I think if Respawn had taken the word campaign out of that, nobody would have thought twice about it. But the fact they put campaign there is what screwed them. But anyway, we're not going to talk about Titanfall 1. So all in all, I think Titanfall 2's got something going for it. There's a few things I would have loved that they had in terms of more cosmetic stuff. It'd be really cool if you could customize colors and, like, think Halo 5 armor changing, but with your Titan. How cool would that be? I mean, pilots could look how they look, because you don't want the Titans, or you don't want the pilots to be crazy different, because it can already be kind of confusing from a distance who's an ally and who isn't. It's easier now in Titanfall 2. Titanfall 1, on some maps, it was difficult to tell from a long range, especially if you're a sniper. So they've definitely fixed that as well. So it'll be nice to see how the full game turns out. So let's talk about No Man's Sky now. There's tons of hate and tons of love circulating this game. It's kind of this huge clash It's like two reverse magnets trying to stick together, and it's not working. Now, there's been reports saying that No Man's Sky has already lost 85 to 95. It's in that range. A lot of people just say 90. But 85 to 95% of the player use has dropped, and I totally get it. But I also see both sides very easily. I see both the lovers and the haters very easily, because I'm both, honestly. My first week playing the game, I thought it was so good. I was like, okay, people are gonna bitch because there's like not a lot to do, but it's an explorer game for this purpose, blah blah blah. And yes, it's an exploring game, and yes, there's crafting, and yes, it's tedious because it's an exploring game. I mean, if you really think about it, think of how tedious Minecraft really is. I mean, Minecraft has more to do, I get that, but when it first started out, it was just this go around, mine stuff, craft stuff, and blah. Now it's a lot more in depth now, so don't hate me for saying that. I think you get my point. But the problem with No Man's Sky, and it's a really good game, it looks beautiful. The scale, I mean, obviously nobody can fight that it's not a big enough game because it's the biggest game ever made when you think about scale. And it's very difficult to explain to some people because some people just think the game's the best thing to ever happen, and I get that. I can definitely see the appeal, but the problem is the repetitiveness and the lack of promises. Now, there's a lot of broken promises in this game, and I get that. And there's a lot of them that are kind of on the edge of did they promise it, didn't they? And there's also a lot of things you would just expect to be there that there isn't. So one of the things that's kind of missing, that's kind of an obvious thing that's out there, is the planetary and space physics. A lot of things just do not work well sometimes, and I've run into this, and obviously it's just a glitch, but I've fallen like a huge amount of time and not taken damage, and then I've fallen off like a tiny cliff and took tons of damage. So things like that. Another thing is when you're flying around in your ship, when you reach, say this is a mountain and this is your ship, and you come up to a mountain, it'll automatically raise you, which is really nice if you're just trying to fly. But once in a while it won't, and you'll hit it, and when you hit something you just kind of like float back, and like you take no damage or anything, and you kind of just hit it and like float back and kind of just whatever, and you don't take any damage or anything. And I get that for an exploring game, you don't want a ship to blow up and all this crap, but in space, similar thing. If you hit like a space station, you just go like blah, 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 blah. And it's dumb, honestly. A couple other things I just want to touch on real quick. There's a ton of problems here, and I'm gonna get to the multiplayer thing and the story thing, don't worry. So just some quick things. There's no rivers, there's no day-night cycle, weather, sand planets, and huge, I haven't run into any huge monsters like they showed in some of the videos, like with the rhino rushing through trees and the giant snake, which looked like a really cool thing. He was on the sand planet with these huge snakes just going through the ground, and it was really cool. And then they were on another planet that they showcased like 100 times, and I'm guessing because it was pre-scripted, even though he said it wasn't, but it showed like this huge rhino monster rushing through trees, and they were breaking and falling, and then it showed this like giant dinosaur thing. It was really cool. And yes, they have monsters and stuff on the planets, but I've only run into like 2 planets where they actually attack you. I run into one planet where almost every creature on it was attacking me, but it still felt like there was no risk. It shows you when something's coming at you, and honestly the first time it scared the shit out of me because I had this little crab person running at me and just attacking me, and I was like, holy shit. Now, the ship classes. Now, he had said at one point that all these ships had different types, like ones were really good for explorers, and one was really good for fighting, and one was really, so they had like these different classes for ships. One's really good at carrying trade commodities, and one's for exploration, one's for fighting better, one's for this, one's for that, and that's non-existent in the game. Also, it's a giant pain in the ass to get a new ship. It's very easy, but it's a pain in the ass. If you fly into a space station, you just kind of wait there and see who flies in, and you can buy like anyone's ship. And I was able to upgrade mine quite a bit. I was able to buy higher levels. And the one thing that annoys me about the game is when you buy something, you get rid of your old one. And I totally get it for the ships, because like you can't just have a million ships all over the place. And I get it for that, but the weapons and the suit upgrades make sense because that's just expanding your inventory, but the guns kind of bugs me. Okay, here's a good example. I played the game for a while, and I got a new gun after my starting gun, and that was cool, and it replaced it. And I was like, that's kind of annoying. It would have been nice to have like an inventory thing to see your old weapons, swap them out, maybe if you made a mistake, or be able to like dismantle them and get like parts or something. I don't know. But I had found a better gun than the starting gun. And then I had entered my DLC code, and I had a gun from DLC, and I didn't want to accept it because it would replace my good gun, but I couldn't get rid of it on my new items thing. So that was really annoying. I had to wait till I found a better gun I wanted to swap mine out for. So I swapped out for the DLC one, and then swapped the DLC one out for the new one that I found. It was just a pain in the ass and annoying. It'd be really nice if you could accept DLC and accept new weapons all into your inventory, and then you had to make the choice of what to keep. That would have kind of made it a little more cooler for choices aspect. Adds one more little thing to it that lets you choose and lets you decide. Because that's another big issue in the game, is there's really no decisions. I mean, when you think about it, if you find an alien and you have to choose, it's 90% of the time it's a guess, and if you don't know a lot of the language, and even if you guess wrong, nothing bad happens. Another thing that bugs me a lot is when you find one of those rooms with an alien in it, or just any broken down hatch or whatever. Say you're fighting sentinels, all you need to do is run in the building and they stop attacking you completely. All your threat goes away. Or you'll find one of those hatches with a door you have to destroy. You shoot at this door and sentinels come at you, which are tiny little robots that are super easy to destroy. I haven't run into anything crazier, except for ships in space sometimes. And you destroy their door that they're just fighting you for, and then you run inside and they just go away and you're back to normal. There's no more threat or anything. I could understand if they'd stopped attacking you when you were inside, but as soon as you went outside they came at you again because your threat's still there, but it totally wipes it clean. Another quick thing that's annoying is you can't easily travel back to the places you've already discovered. It'd be nice if you could open your discovery tree, highlight a planet you've been to, and warp to it if you had enough fuel, or if it told you how much fuel you needed, or whatever. Or set up a path back on your galaxy map. Now, I never had this issue, but it is one that's out there for a lot of people. I really liked finding a planet, finding all the discoveries for it, and then I was like, okay, I feel satisfied, I feel like I really played this planet, I'll move to the next one. So I was 100%ing each planet, which I like doing anyway. Plus you get a ton of credits for uploading everything. But that's the problem, is that's all it is. If you want to make money, say you found a bunch of gold. You stand there forever mining gold, and then you sell it. And that's how you make money. You mine something forever, because it takes a long time. And if you're lucky enough and your inventory's full, or has room, then you fill it up and you go sell it, and then you've got credits to buy a better ship so you can hold more stuff that you find by mining. And it's just like this whole tedious thing with no purpose. Now the storyline, I'm kind of a fan of the storyline. For an exploring game with no story on purpose, it's cool, it's enticing, it's interesting. Get to the center of the universe, and the whole time you're thinking, oh cool, what's there? And I'm not going to say anything, but I've seen videos of what happens when you get there. Look it up if you want. Not impressed at all. Like, at all. The multiplayer thing. Now, they did promise this. They've mentioned it multiple times in videos. Oh, you can see your friends if you get lucky, and you're going to see fights with freighters and factions and other players joining in and all this crap. And there are videos of him saying it, so fanboys, don't say I'm wrong. It's frustrating. And I know it's an indie title, but also Sony was helping them quite a bit, and I'm guessing it's because, first of all, they're exclusive. I'm sure if they didn't have Sony right behind them, it would have gone on Xbox as well. He had said, oh yeah, we've had great help from the Sony team and blah blah blah, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's an indie game, but I feel like there's a hidden publisher thing going on in the background saying, hey, you guys release this year, or whatever. I feel like they're still controlling it a little bit because it is on PS4, not Xbox, and whatever. And I'm sure Sony probably helped funding it as well. I feel like they released it way too early. Even though people were pissed about it, it's also Hello Games' own fault for announcing it too soon. Actually, not even that, just being okay with releasing it so soon. They definitely should have waited till they added quite a bit more, because they've lost so much of their player base and it's a mess. But I totally respect the people who like it. I get it. It's just so repetitive and so tedious that I've just stopped. And so yeah, that's about all I wanted to talk about. I'm very sorry this went so long, but I had a lot to talk about. So if you watch the whole thing through, hit that like button and give me a comment so we can talk about some stuff. And I will talk to you all later. Stay melted, everybody.